All right, hello now, and welcome on this seventh day of our Lenten reading through the books of 1st and 2nd Samuel. Well, we left off in chapter 12. Saul was a rising star. It appears that he's going to usurp Samuel and Samuel's influence, and Samuel's going to have to move to the background. Saul was tested very early on and succeeded. But we know that sometimes early success leads to a certain overconfidence. And so the transition has now occurred. Saul is definitely in charge now as a monarch. And he's 30 years old. And what does he do? He's going to gather up an army and fight. Samuel told the people that a king was going to gather up armies for his agenda. Of course, it's hard to tell how much of this is Saul's agenda, how much of it may be in the best interest of the people. We're not told that God is doing anything here at this point. And we know that the Philistines are their old nemesis here in the Old Testament before, here territorial nemesis. They kind of habitate in close proximity, whereas some of the other nemesis are the large powers throughout the Old Testament, the Egyptians, the Babylonians, and the like. So, but, looking at it from just a social, historical point of view, if you have received strong popularity because of armed conflict, you want to keep it. And the culture that I live in, probably most of my listeners are going to be living in the United States, in recent history, as far as in the last 30 years or so, we've seen presidents who enjoyed very high approval ratings during times of war, but then those approval ratings end up decreasing. And so if you can keep a war going, you can keep approval ratings higher. Both two occurrences are in the presidencies of both George Bushes. But in any way, so Saul is going to fight. He's going to raise up an army. They are confident and going to fight, but they're going to get backed up here. They're going to get backed up to where the outcome of the battle is going to be uncertain. They're going to win at an initial battle, but the Philistines are going to rise up with a large army and back him up. So much so that the Hebrews they're going to have to hide everywhere that they can, even in cisterns, I believe it says. Caves and thickets, even cliffs, strongholds, and cisterns that are used to collect rainwater. Saul's concerned because when you've had the taste of victory, you worry about the taste of defeat. So Samuel's supposed to come and sacrifice, hoping to get God to come and intervene by way of sacrifice. Samuel tells Saul to wait a certain amount of time, wait 7 days, and he'll be there to sacrifice. But Samuel does not arrive after 7 days. And what's happening? Saul is looking, and his army is beginning to abandon him. Morale is low. They need something to get a kickstart. Saul makes a decision, and this is going to be a dreadful mistake. He's going to sacrifice without Samuel being there. And the king is not the one who is supposed to sacrifice. Not in this kind of sacrifice, in a burnt offering and peace offerings. That's supposed to be Samuel on this occasion. Sure, we get Saul's rationale for this, but it's wrong. It's out of protocol. It's not part of their etiquette. And in the Old Testament, you are forewarned not to break this kind of etiquette. It's a big mistake. And here Samuel, as he is rebuking Saul, it's almost as if now Samuel is being vindicated and Saul is being brought down. And contra to the previous scene in yesterday's reading, Samuel says that you've made a foolish choice. Had you not done this, God would have established your kingdom over Israel forever. But it's not going to continue. The Lord has sought out for himself a man who was loyal to him, who he has appointed to be leader over his people. Wow, a sudden and quick change. We'll come back to that. Okay, so there's still a battle going on. So much so that there's a shortage of weapons. They're not able to get weapons made. They're trying to beat plowshares into swords, even. Jonathan is going to go rogue again. In the early part of chapter 13, he went rogue. And then in the latter part of chapter 13 and go into chapter 14, he is going to go rogue again. Now, this is not only a subordinate of Saul in the military political structure, but it also in the family hierarchy. This is Saul's son. And Jonathan would only be probably a teenager at this point, but he's aggressive. But he's going rogue. We'll remember that as we go forward. He's going to launch a battle and hope, well, God's going to see that we're trying here. Maybe God will intervene. And it works, at least in a limited amount. The momentum it has been recaptured by the Hebrews. And now Saul wants to finish the people off, the Philistines off. He tells his soldiers, you're not going to eat anything before evening. We're going to concentrate on fighting. But Jonathan doesn't know that. He never heard that. And they're walking, and he sees a honeycomb dripping honey, and he's going to enjoy a little bit of honey. They're going to fight. They're going to win over the Philistines. And then they are going to, they're hungry people. They're going to take the Philistines' animals, their livestock, and they are going to kill them and eat them. But in all of that, they're consuming the blood of these animals, which was a big no-no in Hebrew law. Okay, and it's easy to get lost in all of the weeds of this, and so going to make it simple. What we're seeing here is disorder and chaos. Saul's not as disciplined as we thought he was. And he's not as organized as we thought he was either. He had his son, first of all, his son Jonathan, twice in these 2 chapters, is going to go rogue and lead an attack without order on his own initiative. Furthermore, of all the people that's going to break Saul's rule, don't eat anything, none of our soldiers are going to eat anything before evening, Jonathan's the one that's going to break it. And Saul's not going to really do anything about it either. This is disorder. This is chaos that's happening. And of course, the big part of it back in the previous chapter was that Samuel may have been eager to tell Saul, you're going down. It seems to be very early still in his kingship, but he's going to go down. God's going to seek after somebody else. All because of his rebellion and refusal to wait for Samuel to come for sacrifice. Okay, so and at the end of this chapter 14, it reminds us that for now Saul ceases his chasing of the Philistines, but there's going to be continuous struggles with them throughout his kingship, it says. So now we close today's reading, and it's a bit less optimistic. Saul has taken his capital, and butchered it, I suppose. There's this disorder. The people have defied the law of God, and have consumed this animal blood. They were hungry. Um, it's not looking good, and it's prepared us for some critical and even dark readings in the days ahead. All right, I'll revisit you again tomorrow. Bye bye.